let's go this for now. All right. Yo, what's up, everybody? Matty Ice here with Profit Props. This is the Sharp Side, week 3 here. Excited for the episode. We are a little light on plays today, but hopefully they're good ones. Joel will start our weird week. Let's start off. First, I do want to say this show is presented by Props.cash. Use code SHARP25. You'll get 25% off your first month. We're going to use Props.cash to break down all the props we do have. Looks like we have 7, and we're going to look for a few more while we're on here.
And real quick, if you have a chance, retweet the stream. Gets us to a bigger audience. So we really appreciate that.
Yes, we very much appreciate it. All right, so we got one game tonight, Thursday Night Football, Jets, Patriots. Probably going to be a slower game. Totals 38.5. Spread right now is Jets -6. Let's talk about where it opened. It opened Jets maybe minus. It actually hasn't moved yet much. 6.5 maybe with the total at about 38.5. So not much movement on this. Probably an efficient line. No sides or totals from me, but we do have coverage data from Joel.
Yeah, so the Jets are going to play about 31% man, at least they have so far this season. 67% zone. Those break out into like 29% cover 4, so that's their heaviest zone defense. 22% cover 3, and then their main man coverage at 26.5% is cover 1. For the Patriots, they're going to play about 36% man, and then 60% zone. And then their main coverages, they're going heavy cover 1 at 30.1% and cover 2 at 33.7% leads the league. So some interesting coverage data there.
So we'll transition into plays. I believe we each have one in this one, don't we?
I do have one. Yeah, I think you have one as well.
Yep, I'll start us off. Yep, I'll start us off with I released Breece Hall over 28.5 receiving yards. Let's see where that's at now. I think it's still close to about the same number. Looks like MGM still at 29.5. Caesars is at 30. Some other books have bumped up. I honestly think even at 32.5, this is still playable. If we look so far this year, he's had 6 and 8 attempts in each game. And you can check this out in my write-up. I did I think a decent write-up on this. So let's say he's between 5 and 9 attempts somewhere tonight, which is where I believe he'll be. He's cleared this line in 73% of those games. And if we zoom out here, we can actually get the yardage. So he's averaging 45.6 yards in those games. I think, again, I'm toying with my model, but I do have him. I think I had him at 54 yards. That might be a little too high, but I definitely think 30, 31, even 32.5 still playable here.
Yeah, he's getting targeted like crazy this year. I think he has the same target rate as Garrett Wilson so far in the season. They're doing a lot of design stuff for Breece. So, I mean, he's just one of their playmakers. They want to get the ball in his hands, and it's showing with how much they're targeting him.
And then you had one play. I'll let you dive into it. It was Stevenson, correct?
Yeah, I have Ramondre Stevenson over 2.5 receptions. Basically, the coverages they're running, cover 4, cover 3. You like to attack the flats in those. And Ramondre this season, he's running way more routes than he was last season. He was a 51.6 route participation last season. This season, all the way up to 83.3%. For me, I think the game state here is the Jets taking the lead and holding the lead. I think the Patriots are passing way more than they've had to do so far this year. And so I think it's extra opportunities. Ramondre, 5 targets last week, 3 the week before, but they didn't really have to pass. And you can see it whenever he gets 3 or more targets, he's hitting this pretty often. So
yeah, and I feel like New England, just to double down on your point there, New England doesn't have like a go-to guy. I think Hunter Henry might actually be leading that receptions.
Yeah, tough at receiver for them and really good secondary, as well as they have a couple banged up O-linemen. So I think they're going to want to like get the ball out of Brissett's hands fast. And so I've seen people on Demario Douglas. I like that as well. They got like 2.5 receptions at plus money earlier today. But for me, it was Stevenson because he's just done it so consistently. And when I saw this was like only like minus 130, I just had to jump on this one.
Excuse me. Tried to kill myself.
You're good.
All right, so just the 2 plays there. Sorry.
You're good.
Next play we got is Chicago at Indianapolis. Looking down here, looks like Neither of us have a play. We'll still dive into it though. This game opened Chicago. Chicago was a 2-point dog, 2.5 even at some books. Early openers were at like 44, some even at 42 though as the week went on. Now I'm seeing about the same thing. 43.5 seems to be the painted total. Colts are 1.5-point favorites. If I had to have a lean, I would lean Colts here. But that being said, I've got no money on it.
So as far as coverages go, the Colts are running cover 3 at 54.5%. So like that's way up there in the league. I think that's actually number 1. Yeah, it is. So they're playing 83% zone, heavy zone team. 18.2% cover 2 is their second highest run defense. So you're going to see a lot of zone on that side. As far as the Bears, cover 3, 36.4% of the time. And then they'll play 20.8% cover 1 and 24.7% cover 4. I will say that if Keenan Allen is once again out, I'll probably be back on DeAndre Swift. We cashed that last week. I think he had like 5 targets. They're looking for ways to get the ball to him. And when you lose an underneath guy, a safe outlet guy like Keenan Allen, I just think it opens up more opportunities for DeAndre Swift in the offense.
I do like the read there. And something I forgot to do, I meant to do this beginning of the show. I wanted to recap. I made 0.27 units last week. So nothing to brag about, but we were up. And I will try to remember to do that beginning of next show, just so everybody kind of can keep up to date.
Yeah, real quick, can we talk about, did you see what happened with Bijan Robinson for me last week?
No, what happened?
I want to vomit everywhere. So I saw you were on his rushing yards. He was absolutely destroying them.
Yep.
And I had 14.5 carries. I had the over. He had 10 at halftime. He comes out with 2 in the third quarter.
Oh, no.
And then he fumbled that one in the first half.
Yep.
Right in his chest. He comes out with 2 in the next quarter. He got stuffed on the run in the fourth. He ends on 14. So 4 carries.
Oh, my God.
One of the worst beats I've ever had. I
lost Lamar 48.5 rushing yards. If he would have just slid instead of pitching it, I know that they're trying to win the game.
Yeah.
He had 48 and then he pitched the ball. We got hooked there. So I've had a hook each of the last 2 weeks. So.
That's brutal stuff, man.
Part of the game, but yeah, those always suck. All right, let's dive into this one a little bit more. I want to talk to you about a few things. I leaned Pittman here. His depth of target is like 11 yards. He's got a 41% target share versus zone. We talked about it. The Bears run the 9th most zone, but he's only accounting for 13% of the team yards so far. And I can't trust Anthony Richardson to throw him like a deep ball. So like I leaned Pittman in this matchup.
What about his receptions? Can we look at his receptions real fast?
Yes, we absolutely can.
Because 4.5 is low for him, in my opinion.
He's had 8 and 7 targets this year. Let's say he's between 5 and 9, maybe 5 and 10 conservatively. It's 60% hit rate on his career.
I think he's like way better on the road than he is at home for some weird reason.
You'd be correct.
It's crazy. I don't understand those splits.
You'd be correct.
And I don't even look that much into those, but
I don't either. I do for young players.
Because that doesn't make much sense. But not when you're better on the road.
No,
that doesn't make sense.
I agree. Especially in the NBA, though, like rookies, especially later in the year, you'd think it would be easier, but later in the year, they're used to playing 30-game schedules. Now they're at 40, 50, 60 games. NFL, I feel like, it's kind of a different breed here. That's what I mean. I looked into Pittman. I couldn't take it. Also looked into Jonathan Taylor just because, again, I said if I had to take something, I would take the Colts money line.
Yeah.
So my game script here would be Taylor getting a good bit of touches in that.
Sure. The problem with this is I think the Bears defense is really solid this season.
They allowed Pollard at 82, but I didn't watch that game. I don't know how that 82 was.
This one's tough for me because I have full on faith in this Bears defense. So
It's not a play for me either. You know, I tried to find something in this game. I've been doing some. I'll do alt line parlays and like I'll try to find. Let's say, well, I'm not trying to give away too much juice here, but DraftKings does not. If you do like a receiver and a quarterback parlay bought down, they will not. They will add a correlation penalty to that. But let's say you do something that's like correlated alternately, like a running back to do well and Caleb Williams to suck on opposite teams. You'd think they'd throw that correlation in there, but they don't.
Yeah.
I found some success on DraftKings doing that this season. This might be an area where I do take, which DraftKings is one of the few books that also allow you to take alt quarterback unders. I just think there's no way Caleb Williams will throw for like 249. So I might see myself on something like that under.
Caleb Williams is.
Listen, I almost faded him this week.
I almost did too. I want to because he's just too. I mean, you got to show me you can throw for over 200 yards, right? Like
I'm in the complete agreement. The market has gone against us. I think that's something I've monitored this week. His passing yards have actually came up some. I think this is what it is. You know, if you look back at CJ Stroud last season, he developed a lot in week 3 and 4. You know, I'm not a quarterback expert, so I'm not going to sit here and say that Caleb Williams can be good or can't be good, but he hasn't been good yet.
Sure.
You know? And so I'm still on the, I don't want to call it a hater, but more of a non-believer train. But seeing the market go up has, like, this opened 205, it's now 213.
You have to believe at some point he puts a game together, though. Like, you're the number 1 pick. They're letting you just go out and kind of sling it.
Who's Indy played this week? Or I'm sorry, who Indy played
last week? That was the Packers, where
Malik Willis.
Yeah, they ran the ball 32 times with Josh Jacobs.
Yep. CJ Stroud had 234 versus them.
Which is like low for him.
Low for him. And Caleb Williams had 174 the previous game against Houston. I don't know. I'm probably not going to play it, but I could. If I had to make a prop bet in this game, this is what it would be. If I had to take a side, it'd be the Colts. If I had to take a prop, it would be Williams passing yards under. I'd make sure I get the best price. I'm seeing 214s. Yeah, 214 is the best, but I'm not playing it right now. Maybe later in the week if I get, maybe we make some money tonight and I turn into a little bit of a hater, but nothing for me in this one right now.
I'll say for me it's Swift, like unquestionably. There's got to be something on the Bears side when you see a team that runs coverage at like over 50% of their snaps, like that's something you like. I love to get in and attack those sort of things. So far this season, Keenan Allen is the largest target share against cover 3, but it's only 7 routes. So, like, it's hard to say. DJ Moore only 15.4% this season target share against cover 3.
So another play I wanted to take until I don't know what's happening with Keenan Allen. I wanted to take DJ Moore under 60.5 receiving yards, but with this is the kind of guy that could break one for that far. So that's like kind of what's worrying me.
For 100%. He is that guy.
That's what worries me about this one.
I'll say DeAndre Swift target share against cover 3 this season, 15.4%. So like I love that look. I'm gonna wait and see if Keenan Allen's out, and then I'll be all over his 2.5 receptions, which hopefully by that time it's not completely juiced, but
he had 5 targets last game. Is that what I saw correctly?
Yeah, I believe so. 5 targets.
See, his yards feel really low for that reception line too.
It's 2.5. It's
2.5. Okay. What is his yards at? Like 20 something? Is it out yet?
His yards was. Let me look. I think your PropStack isn't updated. Maybe fresh.
That might be a good call. I'm seeing 15.5 here.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably all over that. The only thing that gives me a little bit of pause is that the Colts have been super good against like running backs. Just look at it real fast. 4 receptions in week 1, 3 to Joe Mixon for 19 yards. And then Josh Jacobs didn't even have a catch, but you got to think that Malik Willis has something to do with that, right? And
yeah,
they just didn't throw the football.
Yeah. Let's see what the receptions were. This is something also too I think we should highlight. I don't know if it's in the props.cash app. I don't use it as much as the desktop, but this can be really useful if you want to just go back and see how teams have done odds versus Indy. It'll show you the line and how many receptions the player had. So anyone on props.cash, you might want to definitely mix in the desktop. I know the app's convenient, but there's some extra things on here. All right, are we good to go to the next game?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Heavy lean on Swift, slight lean on maybe Williams and Moore's under for me. All right, let's go next to New York Giants and Cleveland. I believe you do have a play in this. We'll talk about the openers first. This opened at Cleveland, opened as a 6-point favorite. I'm going to be honest. I don't run a lot of teasers, but I like the teaser leg here. I think Cleveland gets this done at home. Opened at 38.5, so the totals came up a little bit, but Cleveland's held strong at that 6.5. I would probably play this at 5.5, but at 6.5, I'm not so interested. Honestly, probably a teaser leg for me. And I'll give out one other piece of gambling advice. If you go to ESPN Bet, they do not do their teaser prices correctly sometimes, and that'll be beneficial to the bettor. So I would definitely recommend checking out. Don't do teaser. Actually do the alternate legs yourself. You'll get a better play there. Joe, I'll let you go into coverages because I know you do have a play in this one.
Yeah, so the Browns are a 34% man team, but they're playing a ton of cover 3 this year, 39.4%. And then with that, 33.8% cover 1. So basically the two main coverages they'll run. As far as the Giants, they're playing more zone this season. Last year, I think they're pretty solidly man. They're playing 32.8% cover 3 and 21.9% cover 4. And then they'll mix in some cover 1 man as their like third highest. But in this one, it is pretty cut and dry for me when I saw Amari Cooper's line. Week 1, he opened 58.5. He's been terrible this year. Like, I'll straight up say it, but I've watched every snap of these games, and he's still like, he has a 28% target share. And he's dropped like 2 monster gains in both games. I just don't see a way where he doesn't get to this. He has 243 air yards this season. But he's just not coming down with the ball. They've been like off target. I think this is like the perfect get right spot. I've talked about how bad I think the Giants secondary is, and it's terrible.
Yep.
So I think this is the like perfect get right spot for him. He has a 28% target share this season against those coverages that the Giants are running. So for me, like, it's just a matter of when with him. It's not a matter of like he's just washed up now. Like, it's just has to click.
I think this is a great buy low spot. I mean, the targets have been there this year. I know Watson's kind of struggled as well, but like, I think you just said this perfectly. Perfect get right spot for the Browns. I guess I kind of said that last week too. Did they play Jacksonville last week?
Yep.
Well, the targets were there. You said he missed, some balls were just not thrown. He did drop 1 or 2. You said, I actually really like this spot. Might tell you in this one. Just look
check his receptions. Check his reception line real fast.
It's at 4.5.
It's 4.5. So
now let's go look when he gets
4. So this was like when he gets 4+ receptions.
If he gets 5, it's a lock. Wow, bro. This is one that I might just have to
look at 4 though.
Wow. And the line's at 4.5.
I don't know. The yards don't make sense on this line.
I don't
know.
The
yards don't make sense on this line.
I don't know that we pulled the trigger yet, but we are one. Are we 1-0 or maybe 2-0? I know we
lost Kelsey, but we're 1-0.
Okay, that's right. We're 2-0 or 1-1. I'm sorry, we won last week. Lost Kelsey. That's right. Kelsey was a heartbreaker. Opening night though, you don't know what you're getting. So.
We should have took Rice. We definitely should.
We talked about it.
We talked about it after, but.
All right, so I really back the Amari spot here. Actually, you already released it. I might just tail this. I might go ahead and tell the followers. I'm tailing this one. Doesn't look like it's moved much. Well, it depends the book too. Hold on a second. I'm going to find the best price. Props is showing Fanatics at 45.5, Caesars at 47. I know they'll take a solid pop. Okay, Amari. Yeah, Caesars is still at 47. Oh, MGM 47, 120. Yeah, I'm probably going to tell you on this one. I really like that read. One thing I wanted, you said Cleveland's running a lot of man, sixth most in the league. I don't know if you said that. So definitely a lot of man coverage there. Really like this.
And I'll say Malik Neighbors, target hog against man. Really, the dude's just a target hog in general. But the problem is Denzel Ward, the Cleveland secondary is really good, man.
So just some extra stats here. Yards per reception versus man, 15.83. He's getting a 70% target share versus man this year, 8.7 average depth of target.
He had 18 targets last week, so I mean it makes sense. But and
89.
the Giants likely going to have to throw the football.
I like this read too. You know what? This might be one that I buy down though. I don't trust rookies a lot. I'm gonna be honest. I don't play a lot of rookies.
It's tough, but he's really the only guy there.
No, that's true.
The problem for me is Cleveland secondary is so good.
The whole defense is good.
It's one of the best in the league. So tough for me to buy this, especially with Daniel Jones throwing to him.
Yep.
You got a Daniel Jones interception line? Because I don't think I've looked at that. That one might be something to look into.
Ooh, it's not a bad price. I mean, there's a plus 05 out there, minus 01. I mean, it depends on, I guess, how you look at it. You said they're going to be down a lot too. Let's say he throws the ball 20 plus times or 30 plus times, just out of curiosity. It's almost 50-50. Cleveland's got a really good defense.
Yeah, I might sit that one out. That's an interesting one, though.
That is it.
You would think that Daniel Jones has thrown an interception in way more games than that.
Yeah, but look at all
just judging by the narrative against you.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm not a big I don't, obviously. I'm a retired Patriots fan. I was a Tom Brady fan, so I hate the Giants is basically what I'm trying to say. Took 2 rings from him. Randy Moss never got one. Pisses me off. So that's all we have for this game. Transitioning into the next. Let me pull up props.cash. We're going to go Green Bay, Tennessee. This one's a question mark too, because I guess there's some possibility Jordan Love plays. This one weird. This one opened. Yeah, I actually got an opinion about that before we go into it. If you paid this man $230 million, like give him another week. I think you can beat with Malik Willis. Don't rush him back. Don't rush him back. Anyways, Tennessee open -2. It's currently sitting Tennessee -2. Okay. 36.5 it opened some places. So the total has came up a little bit, but it's still 38. I know people that have been betting for years. You're not crazy. All these totals do feel low as hell. Scoring's down, running's up, passing's down. I don't know if that'll change. I've heard some really smart people on the internet say that since they're not playing a preseason, that'll get better. But that's just crazy.
So coverage wise, the Packers 22.4% man, and they'll run mostly cover 3, 27.6%. Highest cover 6 in the league, 21.1%, and then they'll run cover 1 at 21.1% as well. So mix it in some man, and then the Titans will play 30.3% man, 68.2% zone, and heavy cover 14, 31.8%, 25.8% cover 3, and then 22.7% cover 1. This one for me is like I don't want to back any receiving options with Malik Willis throwing to him. Josh Jacobs could be a play here because he might just get the ball 30 times again if Malik Willis is starting. I want to so badly back Will Levis in a game, and this for me just isn't the game. I like Green Bay's secondary. I think they've been good against the pass.
What about his rush yard?
I can't do that.
36 and 38 this year.
I know I can't.
He's had 2 long scrambles. I'm just spitballing. I would agree. This is not the game to back him though. 192, 127. His line sitting at 202. I think that stayed about the same since its opener. We were talking about Jacobs. We don't have anything in this, right? You don't have anything?
I got nothing.
I did look at his rushing yards, but this is kind of what held me off. They held Breece Hall to 62. DeAndre Swift. Yeah, they didn't.
You can't even throw DeAndre Swift out. That offensive line is.
Yeah, no, you're right. But that being said, I don't have anything for Jacobs here. Reception yards, maybe. No, definitely not that. Might even
Does he
lean
have an attempts line? Probably not yet.
not out yet.
I mean,
No.
look at that, 32 attempts. Like if he gets the ball 32 times, he's going over 77 yards. If Malik Willis plays and they're doing the same thing that they did, the Colts defense might just be horrible against the run, though. Like he was gashing them.
Yeah, missed opportunity there for me not to bet. Oh, no, I did have that 78.5. I'm lying. That cashed. Did that?
No,
cash?
we had
Jason.
Taylor in that,
Yeah,
which
my
we
fault.
got so lucky on.
You're right. I just wanted to see here 15 plus. Yeah, that's not moving the needle for me. No, I don't have anything here for Jacobs. Now if he balls out this week, then they bring Jordan Love back. That'll be a whole different scenario for
What
next.
about Malik Willis's under passing yards?
Well, I'll pull
It's
this up.
so low. It's so low, but he is
Wow.
just not that guy.
122. How many attempts did he have last week? He only threw the ball 14 times. Yards per attempt versus man 4.25. His completion percentage was good, but he didn't throw it a lot. He also threw to his first read 75% of the time. We're looking. Tennessee ran the 11th most man, like you said, 30%. So it's not like it's even half the time. I don't know, dude. I can't. What is this, college? I can't bet under 150.
That's what I mean. It's especially when you only throw 14 times. Like this game is just, I don't want really anything in this game.
No, I agree. We'll move on to the next. Green Bay at Tennessee. We'll go Philly, New Orleans. I do have a play in this one. First, let me go over the openers, though. Openers. New Orleans. Where are you? It's set up different than props.cash. Philly. Okay. I have Philly opening as a 1.5 point favorite, total at 49.5. Now New Orleans is a big favorite, 3-point favorite. Oh, yeah, A.J. Brown's still out. I do have a play in this, but I'll let you go over coverages first, and then I do have one play.
Yeah, so the Eagles, 42.6% cover 3, sixth heaviest in the league, 11.8% cover 4. They'll only play man about 23.5% of the time, and they run a lot of single high. As far as the Saints, just find it real fast. 35.3% cover 3, 25.9% cover 1. They're going to run man 30% of the time. A lot of that's single high as well. So, it's pretty similar schemes.
Yeah. I know you. Go ahead. I was going to say you have a play in this one if you want to just.
Yeah. How about Derek Carr last week, though?
Yeah, I was on the under.
That the offensive coordinator there is doing some things. I almost want to play his over this week at 234 because I think the Eagles can be thrown on.
Bro, and I want to say this 243 from last week, he had about 220 in the first half. I'm not even playing.
Yeah, and look at his attempts. He did this to you on, I think, 17 attempts.
16
attempts. Like, there's going to be a game where the Saints have to throw the ball. They've won each game by 30. And so it's like, when that game happens, how many yards is Derek Carr throwing for?
No, I 1,000% agree. And it might feel like you go ahead with your play and then I'll transition into mine because it might seem counterintuitive, but both of the overs cashed last week. So it also may not be.
I don't have one in this game.
You don't have Devontae?
No, I don't have. I'm off Smitty right now until I said So Devonta Smith last week, I was watching the game against the Falcons. In the absence of A.J. Brown, he was playing a lot more on the outside. I love his receptions in the slot. And watching the game, Covey, I don't know what his first name is, but for the Eagles, he was getting all those designed like slot passes that they were throwing to Devonta Smith in week 1.
Yep.
I think he had like 3 of them. So I'm hoping Devonta Smith has a bad game and we get A.J. Brown coming back and we get another like 4.5 line and I can just slam that for 2 units.
I did lean Devontae Smith receptions over at 5.5, but it was very juicy and only available really at one book, so I did not end up releasing that. But I did lean there. I do have one play though. I got to write up out on this if you want more on it, but it's Alvin Kamara over 63.5 rushing yards. He's looked completely revamped in this new offense. If we go to his carries, I think he's had like 15 and 20. Yeah, 15 and 20 carries. Like you said, I think there's going to be a game that New Orleans has to throw the ball, but they're favored in this game, and I think this game they'll play well. And in his career, I should say the last 2 seasons, 15 plus rushes. He's over an 18 to 24. I don't see it slowing down. He's averaging 84 yards per game. I don't know that he's got like quite at 84, but if I had to hang a line, I think I'd be closer to 75.5 yards. So 10.5 yards here, probably off what I'd make it. I thought plenty of value.
And he's running so good. It's that Kubiak style offense that just produces for running backs.
Yep.
You see it in San Fran.
Yep.
I think you're going to be seeing it in Tennessee. I think Tony Pollard had a rough one last week, but I think you're going to be seeing it in Tennessee. Cleveland, it's that West Coast, it's that stretch run, and it's doing some good things for Alvin this year.
Yep. So that's my only play. I guess our only play on this game. Alvin Kamara over 63.5 rush yards. I actually double checked the price on that for y'all. I just refreshed. 65. It looks like 63.5 still at MGM. If you don't have those options, 65 is almost painted, and I do definitely really like that line as well. All right, next game on our list, we've got Chargers in Pittsburgh. This one's going to be kind of we touched on this before the show. This one's going to be a weird one. Let me see what Pittsburgh opened. I think it was like -1. Let me double check that. I have Pittsburgh opening at around -1. Some books were at -2. They're now -1 across the board. I seen that Justin Herbert was like limited in practice. It didn't seem like it would be something that he won't play Sunday. If he weren't to play Sunday, I think the market would react harder. So outside of that, though, I'll let you go over coverages. I have nothing in this game. I think it's going to be a really hard game to handicap.
Yeah, I agree. So the Steelers, 20.9% man, about 70% of that's coming out of single high. They're running cover 3 at a really high rate, 5th most in the league at 43.3%. And then they'll play cover 1 at 20.9%. It's pretty much all their man coverage. And then as far as the Chargers, they run some wonky stuff. 24.6% of their defense is cover 2. That's one of the highest in the league. 23.2% cover 3. And then they'll just kind of mix everything else around. For 82% zone, they're running a lot of single high or 2 high coverages, 65.2%. So,
did you see somebody on ESPN bitching about 2 high safety?
I did see Mel Kiper.
Mel Kiper, that's who it was. All right, so let's jump over to here. I did have a lean in this game. It's not an official play. It is going to be Najee's rushing yards over, and don't be surprised if you do see it right on this before Sunday. But he's had, let's double check. I want to say 15 plus, maybe even 17. Yeah, 17 plus attempts in each game. He only had 45% of the snap share last week. Warren definitely got his attempts and looks as well. But when Najee's on the field, I think it may be a little too predictable. It seems like when Najee's on the field, they're probably running. If not, they'll put him in pass block. I did cash his reception yards over week 1. He had 9. I had over 7.5, so it was close. Week 2, I didn't bet it, but as you can see, it was really close. Again, this is a lean for me, and I know you said you were looking into Warren. That might worry me a little bit as well. I lean over here. I also lean over J.K. Dobbins, but what I'll say about each of these teams, like Dobbins has went crazy, but it was against Las Vegas and Carolina. Carolina's pass defense has been decent this year, but it's because they haven't had to allow, like no one's had to pass the ball. Everyone's up 40 by halftime, so I don't know what to think of Dobbins in this scenario. I also don't know what to think of Najee. He's done well, and like that Denver defense is stout, but I don't know what to think of the Chargers defense. They've looked so good against inferior opponents as well.
The Steelers have been so good against the run too, and I think if I was to take a running back in this game or on the Chargers side, Gus Edwards at 34.5 is pretty low to me, especially considering he's about directly equal when it comes to attempts with J.K. Dobbins. So
yeah, he had 18
last week. 18 last week. I think Dobbins had 17, so he actually out rushed him, and he gets a 20-yard lower line, which is very interesting to me.
He actually had more attempts in both games, one more attempt in each game. So, I mean, I actually really agree with you there. That might be really low.
I'll say, though, one thing about Edwards this season that is highly concerning to me is his efficiency has been really bad. And I kind of expected that coming into the season because you lose Lamar Jackson and you lose the threat that Lamar like pulls defenders with him in the read option game. So it's just something that I think helped Gus out a ton, but he's still getting a ton of work. He's a big bruising back. And yeah, like we were just saying, I like Jaylen Warren in this game too. Is his rushing attempts still plus money?
I'll tell you real quick. I think he had.
I looked at this. He outsnapped Najee Harris last week, which was 105. Okay, for 7.5. He outsnapped Najee Harris last week. I talked to you about this before the show. I went through every single third down that the Steelers had, and he was on the field for 9 of 11. So Najee was only on the field for 2. So he's not getting as much early down work, which concerns me a little bit. Kind of kept me off of this. So it's something I'll probably look into it a little bit more. I think his receptions could be reasonable, but the Steelers just aren't throwing the ball.
Good
on this line last year, but they're just not throwing the ball. So it's just like it's hard for me to jump on this too. They're both plus money. I think they both have a good shot, especially if the Steelers can fall behind in this one. Then for the receptions is really good, and if the Steelers go ahead, I think the rushing is really good. So it's just like pick your poison. How do you see the game script playing out? I think these are two like tightly matched teams, in my honest opinion.
Oh yeah, and the market definitely agrees. I mean, it's sitting at Pittsburgh's a 1-point favorite, 1.5-point favorite. And just knowing how bookmakers make games, like that's what being in Pittsburgh's worth. This is a pick 'em in a neutral field. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, no, I agree. I really like if you sold me on anything, it was Gus Edwards. I really like Gus Edwards. I'll double down on the Jaylen Warren thing. I can't believe that him and Najee have the same amount of targets this year. I can only imagine that goes up in terms of Warren.
It has to.
So I do like his receptions maybe more than his attempts, although he had 9 attempts last week as well. So for plus money, I agree with both of those. I would lean Warren receptions over his attempts, but watch me say that and he get 13 attempts and 2 catches.
And when you look at what he did last year, like he was great.
It was an auto bet last year.
He was great at catching a football.
It was an auto bet. And he was really good, not only because he got – I didn't look at average depth of target last year, but if I had to guess, it was probably -1. And he was really good after the catch.
Yeah, for sure.
So I do think that they incorporate that more. But
the problem with it is I looked back at the Bears statistics last year when Justin Fields was their quarterback.
Yep.
He just doesn't check it down that much. It's just
and it's a new offense, but we haven't seen Arthur Smith. There's been 4 targets in the backfield this season. So, it's nothing. That's something that really surprised me. I was big on Najee's reception yards because last year Pittsburgh's not throwing the ball a lot, but running backs did account for almost 24% of the target share out of Atlanta last year. So that's something that I dove deep into. But after 2 games, I busted. Yeah.
That's interesting to know. That might sell me on taking Warren's over.
Well, there's a little tidbit of advice. We will move on to the next game. We've got Houston and Minnesota. Oh, yeah, Diggs returned to Minnesota. Let's see where this game opened. I think Houston opened -6. Let me double check that. Houston. Now it came down a lot. I'm seeing 2 now. I was actually very wrong. Houston's a 3-point favorite in this. That feels light to me. What's your opinion on that?
I think the Vikings are playing pretty good ball right now. This is in Minnesota.
No, yeah, this is in Minnesota. Market absolutely agrees with you. The market has came Minnesota's way.
Minnesota's playing really good. Sam Darnold's playing really good also.
Yeah, is he going to sustain that, I guess, is my biggest question.
I don't know. It could be a system thing there. It could really be a system thing there.
So let's see what he's done this year. 268 versus San Francisco. That's a good defense. And they beat San Francisco, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
That's crazy. I'd have never guessed. Good for Sam Darnold. One other thing. I saw Justin Jefferson today said he will play in week 3. Yep. He left in the third quarter with a quad injury, but yeah, it looks like he's good to go this week. I'll let you go over coverages and then any plays we might have.
Yeah, so as far as the Texans, 27.8% man coverage. That's mostly coming out of one high, 55%. So they're like pretty dead even there, though. 26.4% cover 1, 26.4% cover 3, and then 30.6% cover 4, which is their most run zone defense. The Vikings, heavy too high team here, 78.5%. So you want things over the middle against that. Only 11.8% man, so super low man coverage. They're playing 25.8% cover 2. That's one of the highest in the league. 26.9% cover 4. That's one of the highest in the league. 15.1% cover 3. And yeah, that's about it. So I have a lean in this one. I think Diggs gets targeted quite a bit here as the short area route guy against the too high. Deebo Samuel killed him last week with 8 receptions. So that's my main lean. But Nico Collins has just been so good against everything that it's like hard for me to even want to jump on it.
So you mentioned Minnesota runs the what is that, second fewest man coverage in the league? CJ's yards per attempt are way up versus man, 13.86. His average depth of target is over 11, much higher. Diggs' average depth of target is much higher versus man coverage this season. Again, this is all just 2 games. So come week 3, week 4, week 5, I'll be a lot more confident in, taking these reads. But yards per reception's way up. His team yard share's way up. I actually really like. Did you say Diggs over? Did I hear that correctly?
Diggs over 4.5 receptions would be my lean in this game.
I would have to lean that way with you. I think he's had 6+ targets. Let's say he gets maybe 6 to 9. Yeah. If I had to lean somewhere,
I don't even know if he gets that many because this wide receiver room is just
it's crowded.
Back to the gills.
Well, I saw they might be bringing Tank Dell out of the backfield some this week because Mixon's out. Did you see or hear anything about that?
I did not see that, but
yeah,
that's very interesting.
I seen like 2 or 3 different cappers on Tank Dell's all yards, and I think it's up to like 20 now. They like opened at 10.5 and moved to like 22, I believe. Not my play.
Interesting.
I want to give credit where it's due, and his name is. I don't know. I'm sorry. I wanted to give him his credit, but I can't remember who I seen post that. I don't have anything in this. I actually really like the Stephon Diggs maybe over the 4. Yo, shout out Brock for jumping in the chat. It's good to see that that's good on Twitter as well. Yeah, nothing for me in this game.
This one's tough. Nico Collins against everything this year has been insane. I looked at him against too high, which is what Minnesota's running heavily. And I think he's like way up there in target share. 31.3% targets on 32 routes against too high. It's like, how can I even bet on Diggs when Nico Collins is getting that kind of like, he's just the alpha in the room and he's showing it.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
His 75.5 yards. What is his reception? 6.5.
I believe so. Let me double check here. 5.5. He's had 6 and 8 so far this year. He's had no fewer than 8 targets. Let's say he's a lock for 6. So he goes 6 to 10-ish. It's tough because, if you look at as CJ Stroud developed into the quarterback he is, you look at the last 15 games, really 10, 15 games when he's getting that kind of target share. I don't know.
3.59 yards per route run against that coverage. Too high. I mean, it's crazy, though. It's just like he's just that good.
Yeah, his yards per reception versus zone are at 18.36, almost 19. So even at 5 catches, that's almost 100 yards. That's crazy.
Can he keep it up, though?
Yep, agreed. So I think we're going to go no play in this one, but 2 leans, and it's sad because it's 2 receiver leans. Well, I don't know if I don't know about Nico, but I do like I like the narrative of Stephon.
How do you feel about the Texans, D?
How do I feel about the Texas
I
defense?
feel like it's a good defense, and that's why it's keeping me away from
Yeah,
some of
I
these.
mean,
I
it
mean,
just
really,
makes
the
you
only
like,
guy is Jefferson, really. I guess Jalen Naylor, if what's his name's out.
so this is my
Jordan Addison.
opinion. My opinion is Indy and Chicago are both not good teams, so it's really hard for me to like have an opinion on Houston's defense. But I do
Okay.
think they're above average.
Okay.
Their
Yeah, that's
stats
fair.
right now say they're good, really good. I think they're at least above average.
That's the problem with these early season bets is when a team plays two bad teams, you just don't know how good they are yet.
Yep.
And so I think this week's been tougher for me because I'm attacking the teams that I think I know.
Yep, I agree with that completely. That's why I think I might have a play in the Pittsburgh game, even though it's such a close game. But yeah, no, I 100% agree with what you said there. All right, let's keep it moving. Then we'll get into the next one. Denver at Tampa Bay. Let me just check our plays. I'm not seeing anything from either of us. I did have a lean, and I had a couple requests in my Discord that we'll go over. Tampa Bay opened 6.5-point favorite and has really stayed there. Total hasn't moved much either. 41.5 is really where it's sitting at. This is, I mentioned a teaser earlier. This would probably be my second leg. I think Tampa Bay gets this done at home as well. I think I had Cleveland and Tampa Bay are my two. They're both at like 6.5. So you get this at basically a pick 'em. And you can lock those two in right around -110. So that would be my lean in this game. But I'll let you go for coverages.
Yeah, so the Buccaneers are 15% man, 81% zone, pretty split down the middle, single high and two high. Heavy cover 3 team again here, 41.8% of their coverage, and then 20.9% will be cover 4. And then the Broncos, heavy man team, I think second highest in the league. So 44.4% cover 1, 13% cover 3, 20.4% cover 4.
How do you feel? I'm just going to
Super heavy man team.
I was going to just kind of double back off your question from last. How do you feel about the Denver defense?
I think the Denver defense is a solid defense.
I do too.
I'll be honest. I think they're terrible against the run, but I think pass wise, it's a good defense. Like I looked at Mike Evans because I think he just cooks man. And he's not a guy I want to attack at all against Patrick Surtain on the outside.
No, I had Godwin as well. He's
And
getting
this
a lot.
one, slot Godwin has been an absolute wagon so far this season. And I lean over on this too. I do. I lean over on his receptions here because he avoids that Surtain on the outside. I think he's in a better spot than Evans here.
He's got
let me just look at him against man.
I was going to say he's got a 38% target share versus man. Let me go here.
38. So is that cover 1?
Or 2. I just have it man zone. I don't have 1, 2.
Gotcha.
I'm seeing 9.6 yards per reception versus man.
Because I know against cover 1, Mike Evans has that ability to like beat you over the top.
Godwin still has a higher target share versus man. Lower average depth of
28.6%. And that's good for receptions, though. The lower average depth of target, you want that lower. 28 points. So they're even against cover 1 this season. 28.6%, 28.6%.
Okay, that makes sense.
But I would lean Godwin's side.
Just because he doesn't have to match up versus Surtain, really.
Exactly. That's all. It's now what took me off of this is I don't know how much the Buccaneers are going to be passing in this one. I don't think it's going to be nearly as much as it has been the past couple weeks.
Yeah, because like you said, Denver's run defense hasn't proven itself. This might be the opportunity.
They haven't proven themselves, and I think they just kind of up the whole game.
I completely agree with that. Maybe attempts for Rachaad White at 13.5.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty solid. I think I don't know if you can look at last year because I think his snap share has come down some to Bucky Irving.
It has come down slightly. You're right. Yeah, I'm seeing last year he was, in the 80s in some games.
Yeah, I mean, he
It's
was just like a workhorse last year almost.
we're still seeing 70, 71% of the snap share, but
Still really good.
yeah, I think we're just going to say this 100 times this week. Let us see everybody play one more time, and we'll be more confident in these reads.
Yeah, this one's a little bit tough.
We do have a play in the next game though, so we will transition into the Carolina versus Las Vegas game. Vegas is a 5-point favorite. They were a 6-point favorite. Andy Dalton did bring that down 1 point. I do think it is an improvement over Young. Not saying Young's career is over. He just really struggled this year. I don't know that it is though, because you're going to have to be able to throw the ball, and the offensive line has looked really bad. So, but we do have a play in this. I'll let Joel go over coverages as I pull up our play.
Yeah, so the Carolina Panthers are a very, very heavy cover 3 team. 18.8% cover 1, 54.2% cover 3. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. And then 14.6% cover 2. 72.9% out of that is out of single high. That's second highest in the league. And then the Raiders will run 30.3% man, 54.5% of that single high, 21.2% cover 1, 15.2% cover 2, 33.3% cover 3. And so that leads me into my play. I'm attacking Davante Adams this week because he's just been an absolute menace against cover 3 and single high. So far this season, he has a 48% target share versus single high. Last season, 34.6% against single high. So, like, that's just such heavy target rate. And then against cover 3 specifically, 31.4% target share last year. This year, 47.1%. When I see target shares like that against a team that runs a single defense so heavily, it's just like I have to jump on it.
Yeah, and I think you can lock. I mean, nothing's a lock in life, but 7 or 8 targets is probably a pretty fair assumption for him. And you know, when we spoke about Carolina earlier, their passing yards allowed are low. But let's see who they've.
There's a reason for that, and it's because they've been down 30 points every week. I actually like Carolina to be able to hang in this a little bit more with Andy Dalton at quarterback.
You know, I agree with that, and the market has as well. I think I was big on Adam Thielen in the beginning of the year. That might be a sneaky spot I try to transition to this week. I actually haven't looked into it. He's been awful this year, but
I'm not going to lie. I leaned his under.
Did you really?
44.5 is really high to me, and I think now it's Deontay Johnson. I think it's time for Deontay Johnson. I think Andy Dalton will kind of open up Deontay a bit more.
He has had more targets for sure. Well, I just think if this offense expands, there's room for both of these guys. 44 does feel high. I'll give you that. He was like an outlet last year.
36.5.
Johnson wasn't there last year, though. So, like, no, 44.5 does feel high. Like I said, I hadn't looked into this. I was hoping to find a sneaky spot, but that's not going to happen here. Outside of Davante Adams, I really like the Davante Adams. Out of the plays you've given so far, like Davante and Amari feel like definite. And those, I think what's key here is those numbers haven't moved, not too much at least. Those are two that I'm probably definitely going to find myself on this week as well.
Yeah, when you see numbers like 47% target share, like even if that comes down to 30%,
right?
And let's say the Raiders throw 30 times, you're looking at 9 targets. If he's getting 9 targets, I think he's getting to those yards.
And I was messing around with this target share here. I was thinking like 8 is going to be like not a bare minimum, but like that would be the bottom of my expectation. Yeah. So I really like that spot there. He's averaging almost 100 yards when he's getting 8+ targets. There's some games in there where he got an outrageous amount of like 20. But let's say he's 8 to 13 or 14. He had 12 last week. Wouldn't be surprised to see him go over that. Hit rate is still 77%. I really like that play. Davante Adams going to be our only play in the Las Vegas versus Carolina game, pending for now. Let's move on to the Miami-Seattle. This one's tough because Tua's out.
Yeah, it's another one, dude.
Seattle's like a 5-point favorite. They opened 5. They're 4.5. Who's playing quarterback? Who is it?
Skylar Thompson.
Okay, so I know they signed that Ravens backup, but Skylar Thompson's going to be the quarterback.
I do believe that he is going to be the starter.
How do you even approach this game? Charbonnet. I'm not seeing any yards up. Did he get injured last week?
Charbonnet?
Yeah.
No, I think he's not up because Kenneth Walker's hasn't been officially rolled out yet.
Okay. So without running back props to look in here, I'm kind of lost. I think DK had a huge week last week.
I'll say that I lean Skylar Thompson's under 33.5 longest pass. But the problem with leaning that is you still have Tyreek Hill on your team.
Yep.
But I just don't see this guy pushing the ball down the field really. But Tyreek could just break one off a little crossing route over the middle.
Even Waddle. I mean, that's just they do have still a really.
They both have such low lines because it's Skylar Thompson playing. Like, I almost lean Hill's receptions over. Like 6 receptions for him is low, and when you're a young quarterback, what do? You just
feed the workhorse.
You just lock in on a guy and you just throw it to him.
And he's going to be the first read. I mean, I'll tell you.
Seattle runs 32% man too, and that's kind of what he cooks.
Let me find Miami here in my model. All right, Tyreek Hill. Average depth of target, 17 yards. That'll probably come down with Skylar Thompson, though. That's versus man. Yards per reception right now is 30 yards per reception versus man. 46% of the team's man yards. But yeah, just with the quarterback out, I don't have an official opinion. I'm not putting my hard-earned money.
You can't.
No.
Achane maybe. I mean, dump offs, but this game is just. And Jigbo would be one that I'm probably my strongest lead in this game.
I kind of like your Achane's receptions over. If I had to play one, he had 7 targets. I know again it's different, but those targets might be there. Who did you say in Jigbo?
Yeah,
he had 12 receptions last game.
He gets 16 targets.
He had 16 targets. Wow. And DK still went off? Well, I know. I think Geno had 323 passing yards.
DK broke off like a huge one, but DK had like 18 targets, I think.
14, still absolutely nuts.
I think Njigba is just about to break out, and you're not going to be really seeing 50-yard lines for him going forward, I don't think.
Lockett's at 38.5. That feels low. He only had 2 targets last week. He had 7 the first week for 77 yards. That might be my lean right there. How does he do versus man versus zone? You said Seattle ran
32% man. Their heaviest are going to be cover 1, cover 3.
Okay.
Let me look at it. Cover 1, cover 3. Metcalf's the highest target rate, and Jigbo right below that.
Okay. Yeah, nothing for me.
13.9%. That's those coverages.
You good to transition then?
Yep.
All right, let's go to Detroit versus Arizona. Arizona is a 3-point dog at home. Total sitting like 51.5. There's some 52s out there. I don't know. I feel like I lean Detroit in this if I had to take a money line, but nothing official for me there.
Yeah, I would too.
What about coverages? What do you got for us in coverages?
Yeah, the Lions are 48.7% man, one of the highest in the league. That's mostly coming from cover 1, 43.6%.
Yep.
23.1% cover 3, 16.7% cover 4. As far as Arizona, 21% man. That's mostly going to come from cover 0 and cover 1. They run a high amount of cover 0 at 9.7%. And then 41.9% cover 3, 19.4% cover 4. And I have a couple leans in this one. I liked Kyler's overpassing. I liked this one's super weird, but Jameson Williams. I'm a full-on believer in Jameson Williams in this offense. like full on believer that he is the second best, but like it's like a 1A, 1B situation there, I think, at this point.
No, I agree.
I almost played his 5+ receptions because it's plus money.
His
It's plus
targets have
one,
been
it's plus
crazy.
one, it's plus 150.
Oh, you went for a ladder.
Yeah, I was just gonna go straight up to 5.
Plus 154. I like, dude, his target share is crazy. 9 and 11.
I'll give you a stat on him real fast.
Okay.
Let me just pull it up. And it's pretty wild to think that this is the case, but so far this season, through 2 games, he's been the first read on 20 plays, 34.5% of the plays the Lions have ran. He's the first read. Higher than Amon-Ra.
Dude, I really like this read. What's the odds?
The problem with it is when you look at him against the coverages the Cardinals run, specifically their heavy cover 3, Amon-Ra just like is the guy there. So I had to just get off of it. But like I'm buying it so much against cover 4, which is their second highest. Like he's been targeted, I think, the most, like 70% of plays against cover 4. But like his target share so far this season drops to 18.2% against cover 3. So that pulled me off. But when you're the first read that often, it's kind of crazy to me that you have a 3.5 line.
I am yeah, the 138 at FanDuel. I mean, I kind of agree with what you were saying too. If you don't want to lay anything deeper than that 4.5
Go to that.
target share is at 9, dude.
Okay, I will say last week they threw 55 times, so 11 out of 55 is only like 20% target share.
Detroit's offense is just crazy though. Like I don't know how to game script this versus Arizona. Like I said, I lean Detroit.
I think they'll both be passing.
I agree. Arizona's the home team. What about Monty? You got anything on Monty?
Yeah, I actually think Arizona's run defense is super overrated right now.
Odds versus Arizona running backs. Kyren Williams. He's more of like a.
Their offensive line is completely banged up. Like you can't even bank on anything that Kyren has done because their offensive line is just in shambles.
Let's look at attempts. I think he had 11 last game, but I don't think Gibbs had a lot either. Like you said,
Gibbs had 13. Like it's just a 50-50 split, which is why I was thinking about playing Gibbs's longest rush. I think he could break one off against him, but I did end up playing it.
I like to play anytime tutters. I'm not going to release this right now, but I could be on Monty. I did cash that week 1. I could be on Monty anytime tutter again.
I respect it for sure. He's definitely the goal line work guy. But I mean, Gibbs has been getting some this year, so that's.
Oh, I was so pissed in week 1. He's averaging over 2 red zone attempts per game, though. And I mean, just look at those numbers when he's getting 2. God forbid he gets 3. I'm not going to play it now. If I had a lean in this game, that's where it is, though.
How do you feel about Sam Laporta under 4.5 receptions? That was my other lean.
Let me look.
Just don't think Laporta's like I'm so in on Jameson Williams that I think Laporta's taking like a huge hit. I think he's only been the first read on 5 plays this season.
I haven't used this yet today, but I do have team 10%. Defenses versus.
They've been good against tight ends.
They have been 3 receptions, 1.5, 23 yards, 23 yards per game to tight ends. That's so far. That's not bad at all.
I think Josh Allen only threw like 23 times against him week 1 though.
Okay. Yeah. Dalton Kincaid had 1 reception. Parkinson had 1 reception. Actually, I love this. I think I love this.
Yeah, I mean, I almost played it earlier. It's definitely one of my like heavier leans because I'm so in on Jameson Williams too.
Dude,
Like
his
he's taken so much away. Against cover 3 this year, Laporte has a 9.1% target share. 32 routes too. I mean,
that's his. I'm looking at his season numbers. Like that's his number. You know, between 8 and 9%. I think I love this play. Actually, do I play this right now? I haven't played anything on the show today. I'm seeing 120 at FanDuel.
He's been the read on 4 passes, 14% of targets or of plays against cover 3.
And I mean, we're looking. Arizona has not allowed any tight end to kill them. I think I might actually run this. Receptions, yeah, it's 120 at FanDuel.
I'll say though, the thing that did concern me slightly,
okay,
was tight ends against the Cardinals. They have 2 tight ends, the Bills, so 4 total targets to the tight ends.
Okay.
And Josh Allen only threw like 23 times. So
it's a strong target share.
Goff has a 35.5 line. So 36 times throwing. If it's similar to that game,
ends up about 6.5 targets.
Yeah. And that would worry me.
That I see.
That's why I kind of steered a little bit away from it. If he gets 6 targets, he's probably, even like.
Yeah. Even 5 to 9 doesn't look pretty to the under.
The question is though, like it's.
I think you talked me off of it. I think you did.
That's what kept me off of it.
Yeah. No, I appreciate
it. A little bit concerned about that.
I would still consider it a lean, but no, I'm gonna
sure, Sam. I just want to see more.
Yep, I agree. All right, let's go.
Like we won't be getting these lines. That's the thing. Like,
I know
if we see more, we'd like the lines gone.
Yeah, no, I feel you. All right, we got another.
Can we start writing these leans down so that we can?
Dude, we have to. We were talking last Sunday. You would have been like 20-5 if you just released everything.
I swear.
All right, San Fran's playing. I'm sorry. Did you have something else?
No, go ahead. Okay.
San Fran's playing the Chargers?
No.
Rams?
Yes.
There we go. San Fran's playing the Rams. Total on this one is sitting at 43-ish points. There are 43.5s out there. San Francisco is a 6.5 point favorite, and that's painted across the board. So San Fran minus 6.5, 43 points. There is a 44 left out there. But yeah, mostly 43 on the total. And Joel, you got coverages for us?
Yeah, the Rams are playing heavy cover 3. Another one of these heavy cover 3 teams, 45.6%, 21.1% cover 6. And then they'll just mix in some cover 1, 14%. They're just like an 80% plus zone team. So one of the heavier zone users in the NFL. San Francisco will play a good amount of man, 35%, mostly in cover 1, 33% cover 1. And then they just kind of mix zones around 19% cover 3 and then 15% cover 2, and then everything else mixed in underneath of that. I do have a play in this one that I've already released, and that is Jordan Mason over 88.5 rushing yards. High line, but I love it so much. I don't think that, one, the Rams can stay on the field against this 49ers defense with a banged up offensive line. You're down 3 offensive linemen. You're down Puka Nacua. You're down Cooper Kupp. I don't see them staying on the field against this team. And when you look at what Jordan Mason has done, there's been 1 rush attempt this season that wasn't Jordan Mason by a running back. So he's getting like all of the work in that backfield. This Rams front was graded really, really poorly by PFF. You lose Aaron Donald. I think they give up a ton. They were gashed by, you see it right there. They were gashed by James Conner. They were gashed by David Montgomery. These are big bruising backs that Jordan Mason like replicates.
Yep.
And I think that the Niners like lead this one throughout. I could see Jordan Mason running for 25 plus times here. He ran 28 times in week 1. He's getting all the work there. Deebo Samuel's out too, just to throw that into the mix. He took 8 carries week 1. So there's just so much work here for him against a bad team in a game script that I think is like 49ers by like a solid amount.
You remember when you released this?
Maybe 2 days ago. Not sure.
Definitely gotten good market support on this. Any opinion on the 92.5 still out there?
I think he goes over 100.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's at 28 and 20 attempts, so I really like it. You see there, rushing yards allowed. LA's the second, third most, allowing 5.5 rushing yards per attempt. So, yeah, I really like this spot, too. I agree with what you said. He should have 20-plus attempts in this one. I think the 49ers probably take the lead early, should maintain the lead. Deebo being out is interesting, though. But, I mean, the Rams are so banged up. Cooper's out. This opened at 8.5, now 7. So, I'm sorry. Is that right?
What did? Yeah.
No, 8.5. Yeah. Now it's at 7. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think San Fran takes the lead early. I like the Mason Reed. It's moved. I wish I'd have grabbed this at 88.5, but I might still tail this one at 92. I agree with your sentiment. 5 yards a carry, 20, 25 plus carries. Even if he's at like 4 yards a carry, 22, 23 carries gets him over.
I think he sees that easily here.
I mean, we've seen
from not running anyone else. They're literally using him as a complete workhorse in this offense. And that's why it's got a super high line. But and these high lines will scare people off of them. But like, there's just too many reasons for me to want to play this one.
I mean, you look like you said, he's similar build to Connor and Montgomery, and they absolutely torch this defense.
I think he is averaging the most yards after contact in the league, if I'm not mistaken. Either
I wouldn't
3.9 yards after contact right now for Jordan Mason.
And we're talking about just needing 4 yards per carry. You know,
this defense, yeah, exactly. This defense was graded very run poor by PFF.
So love this spot. You've definitely got good market support on this one. So make sure you guys follow Joel, turn on those notifications so you get these before they bump. Similar to, you had something else today if you want to touch on that.
Yeah, we talked about Puka Nacua out. We talked about Cooper Kupp out. And so I want to play a Kyren Williams receptions line because I think the offensive line's so banged up and you want these quick throws. You want to get the ball into your playmaker's hands. He played, I think, like 95% of the snaps or something.
Week 1?
In the first 3 quarters in week 2.
Okay.
And then he didn't play again for the rest of the game. He didn't play the fourth quarter. Still had five targets. So I'm hoping that this somehow comes down to 2.5 and I can just unload on it.
I mean, it is juiced to the under right now, so it's definitely a possibility.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's not release it.
Yeah, we won't. If we can get this down to 2.5, if you guys watching see this at 2.5, just take it because with all those guys out, you got to manufacture offense somehow. You don't Matthew Stafford getting destroyed back there with this line. The 5 targets last week just shows that like once Kupp went out, like they just started dumping the ball down.
They're basically
secondary.
Yeah, no, I like the
might even play this at 4, but 4 is just high.
Yards are 21.5. I'm just curious. Say he gets 3 receptions. Wow. Yeah, I like the read. I might even lean receptions there too. You know, if you think he gets 3 or 4 receptions, he's probably going to hit this number. San Francisco defense is tough though, so maybe I'll lean off of that. All right, next game we've got almost finished here, fellas. 1 or 2 more plays and then we'll be done. We got Baltimore and Dallas. Baltimore is 0-2, so like they're really scrambling here to get a win. Dallas is at home. Baltimore is a 1-point favorite though. That kind of surprises me. Total on this one's 48, so maybe a more action-packed game for us. Joel, I'll let you go over the totals. I'm sorry, the coverages.
Yeah, Dallas playing a lot less man this year, 15.3%. They were a heavy man team last year. 36.1% cover 3, 16.7% cover 4, 60.7% cover 6, 15.3% cover 1, and 13.9% cover 2. So pretty good mix there from them. The Ravens, 25.7% man, That pretty much all comes from cover 1, 23%, 24.3% cover 3. They'll run cover 4 a lot, 23% as well.
This is a game for me that is a big question mark. I feel like Lamar's passing yards is too low, considering what he's done versus the talent he's faced this year. And Dallas got absolutely murdered last year. You see 243 here from Carr, but I was on Carr's passing yards under, and let me tell you, that shit was caked after the first half. They didn't have to throw in the second half. That's why they didn't. So I do lean over on Lamar's passing yards here, but this is one of those games. Dallas is one of those teams. I don't know if they just laid a dud last week.
I lean that as well. But I actually lean his pass rush. I think his pass rush is a little bit better, in my opinion. He's just, I mean, when you talk about skinny Lamar, he talked about losing the weight. He talked about running more. So, I mean, I take him at his word there. He's just, and this Dallas pass rush will get after him. So I'm expecting scrambles. Deshaun Watson was scrambling like crazy week 1. So
actually, I'm curious.
That's an interesting one.
I think he went over his yards, didn't he? Yeah, he did go over his yards, but that was
39.
Yeah, so yeah, this was one for me. This is a game for me. Like I said, I don't know Dallas. Like I don't know who they are, so I'm gonna probably stay off of this one. But I did lean Lamar and I did lean Derrick Henry over rushing yards, but
yeah, I couldn't take that. I just don't know how much they're going to be able to run. Like Dallas could easily like go up reasonably big in this one, I think.
So Kamara had 115 yards versus them. Aaron Jones, that was last year. I was going to say, okay, 115 yards. See, that's what's bringing me back to it. But also,
interesting.
If you look at when Baltimore was not necessarily winning, but in the game versus Kansas City, they did not go to Henry a lot. So if this game stays close, I could see his attempts being far fewer than – I think he had 18 last week. Yeah, he had 18 last week, but 13 week 1. I think for me, like he's got to be over 15 for me to be comfortable with this number. Market does have him 16.5 juiced to the over. That makes me feel a little better. Still probably not enough. I want to say he gets 15 to 22-ish carries. Oh, fuck. Man, those numbers look really good. So I've given out a couple leans tonight, leans that I think I might play before the week is over. Put this on the list. I've been on a lot of running backs this year, more than normal, but I think it's just because running's been up, so I keep riding with it. Derrick Henry and Najee Harris rushing yards over are 2 plays that I'm definitely leaning towards. And you can maybe even sprinkle in Jonathan Taylor in that. So there's actually 3. Those would be my 3 leans, but I'm not pulling the trigger on this yet. We do have a request here, actually, if we want to dive into that. This is from tonight's game. We'll double back to this, and then we'll finish up.
Yep.
Brissett interceptions. Look out. He hasn't thrown any this year. He also hasn't
put his snap count up.
Yep.
Because some of these are – it's not terrible. Plus 105 on MGM.
Okay.
I probably personally would stay away. I think he's pretty safe with the football most of the time. He doesn't take too many risks.
And New England's not going to put him in the way this probably – if they go down big, this is probably how this cash is. That might be the game script here from Ben.
I think it is the game script. But
if they're down 7, if they're down 14, there'll probably be more. If he throws a pick, it feels to me like it'll be like one of those junk, almost like a punt, third and 8. You throw
just
something.
Turn it up.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have some offensive linemen banged up, so the pressure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah,
it's not going to be something I'm personally playing.
Agreed. I would think this is a good spot, especially at plus money, to try to attack it. Especially with the game script, has to take more risk, is going to be down. But yeah, for me, it's also going to be not a play yet. Let's transition into let's see actually what the next game is. Do we have KC Atlanta, and you're going to have a play for us in this one?
Yeah. KC.
Atlanta coming off of a huge win. Did you see, before we get
Huge
into the game, Kirk Cousins rented out Magic City in Atlanta for the team?
That's crazy. If
That's great. That's hilarious. Or for tonight's game, Thursday night game. But so let's talk about where it opened. Kansas City, 3-point favorite. It's in Atlanta. The total's at like 46.5. There is some 47 sprinkled out there. I like Kansas City in this one. I know Atlanta's coming off the big win, but they're also on a short week playing on Monday. So I like Kansas City at 3. Not sure what your opinions are, but what about the cover?
I like that. The Falcons, heavy zone team here, 15% man, 73% zone. Most of that's coming cover 3, 44.6, one of the highest in the league. And then 13.8% cover 4. The Chiefs, decent man team. They're going to run a lot of too high, 71% too high. And they'll go 23.7% cover 4, 20.4% cover 1 as their main coverages. I'm playing Travis Kelce in this one. I think it's the perfect time to buy Travis Kelce. At 47.5, I'm down to buy. The big thing for me is no Pacheco is very important here for me, because on early downs, I think Mahomes loved to throw to Pacheco a lot. And for me, the early down backs, now Carson Steele, he's just not a threat to catch the ball. So looking more underneath at Kelce. Last season, he was far and away the best player against cover 3 on that team. And that's like after Rashid ascended and was like getting a bunch of targets.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just find the stats here. So last season, 24.3% target share from week 12 on for Kelce on 81 routes run against cover 3. This season, he's still running 89% of the routes, 91% of the snaps. I watched back some film. He's getting open against like zones. He's still that guy that can find holes in zones. This to me is just like prime spot to buy.
Yeah, it feels like an outsider or an outlier. I'm sorry, for him to be so inefficient to start the year. 34 in week 1. Did he even catch a ball versus Cincy?
He did, and he had a huge gain called back. It was like a 35-yard catch.
Okay. So, I mean, that makes this look a lot different as well. I agree. It's a great spot, and his targets are just so low. I think
so low.
He's going to see 5 targets on Sunday. I truly believe that. And
even more than that.
Well, and if we look at what tight ends have done versus Atlanta, Goddard went over his line and Freiermuth hooked. I mean, he was just under. So I think tight ends are going to get how should I put this? Tight ends should expect at least their average amount of targets versus this team. And I see Kelce. What was his target share last year? I think he had like 7 targets per game last year.
Yeah, something about that.
8 targets per game over his last 60. 8. Granted, it's a different team. Rashee Rice is there. Still, I think he's going to get to those 5 targets, and I think he's going to get.
And he's what? He's 34, right? But we talked about this in the first game of the season. He is not that far removed from just monster playoff games to
Agreed.
like win them a Super Bowl.
Yep.
It's not like he just completely fell off a cliff.
Yep.
And I watched the film. I watched it during week 1 against the Ravens. They were bracketing the crap out of him.
Yes.
Every time he would go somewhere, there was 2 guys looking at him.
Yep.
So I just think it's the perfect time to buy him.
And I think, the emergence of Rice might actually help him get more targets.
100%.
So, no, I agree with that. I actually really like that spot from you as well. Maybe I'll lean off of this one. That way you can cash it, because last time we fucking do it up on it lost.
Fair.
No other plays for me in this one. Actually, no other leans. I guess I could say I had a lean of Mahomes passing yards actually over.
Sure. That helps me with Kelce.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's kind of like an overreaction to last week. 151 versus Cincy, but 291 versus Baltimore. Pretty good defense, in my opinion. It doesn't really – you can't take what Atlanta's done. Justin Fields never throws the ball, and Hurts, they didn't really need to throw the ball. Again, this is just a lean for me, and I also got burned on his under. It was 2 weeks ago. So I think I've got a little salty taste in my mouth from Mahomes, but not an official play for me, just a lean.
How do you feel about the Atlanta pass catchers?
I don't know. I really don't know. It looks like they should have talent. London made a decent catch versus Pittsburgh. I have Pitts in my fantasy league. He hasn't done anything to make me real ecstatic. I don't know.
Darnell Mooney is an exciting one for me. I wanted to bet on him in week 1. I should have bet on him in week 2. But he's been good, man. 7 targets last week. Wide receiver twos have been so good with Kirk Cousins.
That's so
Jordan Addison was amazing.
That's so true. I don't know though. Like Kirk hasn't impressed me this year. You take that 2 minutes.
I mean that even
that 2 minute
that second half was great from him.
You're right. The second half was
then the Eagles had that 10-minute drive to kill my Bijan rushing attempts.
Yeah. Needed one up the middle. Tough beat.
That's tough.
All right, nothing else in this one, right? 2 more games.
I don't think so. Mooney would be my other lean, I think.
Jacksonville versus Buffalo. Trevor Lawrence passing yards under was a lean for me this week. Also, I didn't play it. It was a lean for me last week as well. Would have cashed last week, but it was close. So I didn't release it. I told everyone on my Discord that has DFS sites to play it because DFS opened at like 235.5. When the books opened, it was 227. I didn't play it at 227, and it would have cashed. It would have just been very tight. Again, I'd lean under, though. Buffalo, 12th, 179 passing yards allowed per game. Tua had 145. We know what happened there, though. Kyler Murray held to 162, and they actually lost that game, but it was close. Arizona was down. So not an official play for me there, but Trevor Lawrence, I was. Also, Josh Allen, anytime Tutter. They're allowing one rushing touchdown per game. He scored twice in the Arizona, nothing in the Miami game. Unfortunately, I did have that. And I mean, I don't know if you were on James Cook in that game, but they were on the goal line. It was the perfect Josh Allen just right over, but they handed it off. They still scored. But obviously I was salty because that could have been Allen's touchdown. I do lean Allen's touchdown over, but I think I don't like laying these kind of plays.
Yeah, no.
One plug I will make, and this is not even paid advertising. It's just Profit X, a new sports exchange model type thing. They have really, really low holds for bets like these. So if you want to look, I saw they had Breece Hall tonight, minus 136 to score a touchdown, plus 130 not to score a touchdown. Less than a 1% hold. So definitely worth checking out. I do lean Allen's anytime Tutter. If I got it at like even money, I'd probably play it, but I'm not playing it at this price. One thing that I like to play every once in a while, again, I won't release this, is Ty Johnson's rushing yards over. Only reason is because he's the only player in my area ever to go to the NFL. So don't ever take that play as a sharp play, but that's just something I look at.
He's taking work away, isn't he?
He's getting some touches, and he's
taking work away from James Cook, which I hate. But
he's getting older in terms. He also plays special teams. I think that's why he's still in the league. He's not just a back, but he's getting older in terms of running back age. So like, I'd like to see him have 1 or 2 more good years. I mean, he's never been like even a couple 100-yard back. So just to see him get touches, I beat him in a race one time in high school, but he false started. So I didn't really beat him. He just false started. So every time I see him, I get to tell people like, hey, I beat that guy in a 100-meter dash. Like, I don't got to tell him that he false started,
Yeah, no, we keep that to ourselves.
Right. But nothing official for me in here. Just some bullshit stories. Any leans from you?
Keon Coleman, either yards or receptions, either or. Probably receptions 2.5. 25% target share against man so far. They haven't really run too many snaps against man so far this year. But to me, I think he's the guy against man.
That's impressive.
He's playing the snaps. 2.5 is just low for me. I'll probably end up playing it, I think.
That's a good read too. I like that read as well. Getting up there in the price, that's like the same price as Devontae. That's like, odds are only relative to the likelihood something's going to happen. So it feels silly to say I won't play something at minus 150 because if it's minus 150 and I think it should be minus 200, I'll play it.
Yeah, exactly.
But when it comes to like props that I'm looking for, like once it gets up to that price, I start to be like, all right, well then what's 3+? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
do like this one though. I think he's so far been the guy against man, but I'm not.
again,
I'm not 100% sold. He's a young guy, so
agreed. That's where it falls on for me. Like a young guy. Are they
like how many targets do you have last week? One target.
one target? 5 the week before, one target
That's
last week.
painful.
Yeah, tough spot. Are they in Buffalo?
They are in Buffalo.
They are in Buffalo. Okay, so that might help a younger player, but nothing there. All right, we only got one more game left, I believe. Washington and
I also lean Christian Kirk.
oh, okay.
Christian Kirk. What's with Christian Kirk, dude?
Wow, I didn't.
Look at that.
Wow, you lean is under, or do you think it's a breakout game?
No, I think he's going over.
Okay.
I mean, he just has that connection with Trevor Lawrence, but it's just so hard for me to buy this. I think Brian Thomas coming in kind of screwed it a little bit, but is Gabe Davis, and I just don't see Christian Kirk not being like a good receiver this season.
No, well, and last year I thought he was like kind of the main guy. I think Calvin Ridley did sneak into 1,000 there, but I had him on fantasy, and he was such a boomer bust kind of player. Ridley was. Kirk was like the. Let me look. Yeah, he definitely.
Consistent.
Yeah, and I think there was a solid stretch here. Yeah, last year there was a
Look at
solid stretch. He was good for 50.
Look
I
at
really
his
like
longest
this.
reception.
I really like this discount. This might be a good. What was the other lean you had that was a good discount off people not playing well? Earlier in the show, we got to start writing these leans
Amari.
down. Amari? No, you played Amari though.
Yeah.
It might have been Amari. It might have been Amari. No, actually, it was Amari. It was
Jameson Williams, maybe.
I think it was Amari.
Plays well. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Amari. No, I do like this too. He even got this in week 1, huh?
Mm-hmm. He gets those shot plays. Just as you're gonna catch it.
Let me go look at his. What do they play more, man or zone? I'm sorry.
Miami or Buffalo.
I'm seeing here they run
Way more zone.
Yeah, okay. 10th most zone in the league.
Cover
Okay.
2 stuff.
Christian Kirk. Did I spell it correctly? I did. All right, I'm seeing a 19% versus man, only 13% versus zone. His average depth of target is much deeper versus zone.
Is it?
And his yards per reception. I think longest reception.
What about Gabe Davis? Because I almost played Gabe Davis's. His was at 18.5 last week, longest reception. And he had an 18-yard A-dot. He had an 18-yard A-dot. Why did I not play that against the Browns? He had a 22-yard catch.
Yeah, I was just going to say his split is closer. Gabe Davis, 31% target share versus man, 16% versus zone. Average depth of target is slightly shorter, but it's still 14 yards. And his average yards per reception there is 18. So I don't know if he's only got one catch versus zone or if that's just kind of the average.
I think I'd probably play Kirk, but over him, just be looking at the chart. The chart kind of swaying me on this one, but
I kind of like Kirk's longest reception.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that would be.
I looked at this one last week too, and I almost took it. He had a bomb. I watched the whole Browns game. He had a bomb thrown to him, but it just wasn't catchable.
Okay. Well, and I mean, just look at these numbers, bro. 71% over the last 51 games. This is the Monday night game, right?
Yep. Is there any 18.5s? Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, that's DFS. Yeah, there is 120 MGM.
MGM.
Yeah, man. I really, 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 really like that.
Just gotta see how many over the top shots Miami or sorry, I keep saying Miami, but Buffalo is giving up. Their secondary is bad, dude. It's bad. They have a bad secondary.
I agree, and they've not really. Who have their opponents been? Oh, Miami, but it hurt Miami. And then Arizona, they didn't allow to do too much. And then, I mean, the next week, Arizona went off with Marvin Harrison. So I don't know if that was schemed by Buffalo or if just a rookie. I don't I don't pay a lot of attention to rookies in terms of like their stats, like versus certain teams. Like I feel like it's rookies are more hit or miss. No, I think Christian Kirk would be my favorite lean here, but I don't think I'm ready. Monday night, if I see something great, I'm playing it. But almost like if I have leans on Monday night, let's see how Thursday and Sunday go. I only have 2 plays right now. I expect to have more write-ups out. If I had to leave you guys with a couple leans, it would also be Najee and Montgomery to score. Those are 2 leans that I have, but I'm only looking at 2 plays I really like. Anything from Chase or Burrow in this one for you?
I wanted to play Chase so bad when it dropped. I think it dropped at like 68.5. Now it's like 80. That hurts. I would love Higgins to come back and not drop back down. I think Higgins was a partial participant today.
I saw he was limited in practice. You're right.
Or if we get a good Higgins line, I'm fine with ripping him off the injury. I don't care. This is the worst secondary in the NFL.
Where do you think Higgins would open up? Like 40s, high 40s?
High 40s, low 50s, maybe.
Yeah.
I think I would rip that. Brian Robinson.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Brian Robinson's receiving yards, lean, and his rushing yards.
Is Eckler hurt?
No. But 10.5 is low for – he's in on 45% of the routes.
Yeah, he had 49 versus Tampa Bay as well. He's had at least 3 targets in each game. I'd say he has between 2 and 5. Still a pretty good hit rate for the career. How do you feel about
I'll probably not play it. His rushing yards I like too. I think the Bengals defensive lines took a huge hit when they lost DJ Reader. So, but I think they're going to be playing from behind. So I don't want to play it. I like Brian Robinson, but look, they've been gashed on the ground.
What about Jaden Daniels?
Yeah, passing and rushing again. I looked at this too, dude. This week. Remember we said this one last week. This was a big lean for us.
Yep.
Didn't play it. He smushed it.
Yeah, now it's
240 or something like that. 253.5. I still like it.
251.5. Yeah, I still really like that.
I still like it. It's like his floor for rushing is probably like 40 yards. And then his ceiling for passing, or his floor for what's his floor for passing? I feel like he can make up so much. Like 226 last week's really good.
Why did Mahomes only have 151? I think that was during the Steelers game, and I didn't watch it.
Yeah, no, they just played good.
Since he did play really well versus the Pats.
They just did.
Probably got to keep it as a lean then. I kind of like his rushing. I ain't going to lie to you. 46.5 at FanDuel.
That's not bad.
Mahomes went over his rushing and Brissett. 32 yards, but if Brissett can get 32, Jaden Daniels can't get 50.
True.
I think that's
not for me. Chase would be like my number one. Like I want to play Chase in some facet just because of how bad the secondary is. And I can't play him at 81. I can't play the receptions either. So I'm going to wait for Higgins and see what's up with that. And then we'll go from there.
I feel it. All right. Well, I think that's the show. I am going to recap all of our plays for everybody. Anyone in the comments wants us to go over anything else real quick, go ahead and drop them. We'll draw over these. We'll go over Joel's first and then my 2. We've got Ramond. Go ahead and say it. Ramondre Stevenson over 2.5 receptions. Jordan Mason over 88.5 yards. That's bumped, but Joel said he still likes 92. Amari over 47.5 yards. That's only bumped a yard, so you can still get that. Devontae over 63.5, still about that price. Kelsey over 47.5, still about that price. I have 2. We're going to go Breece Hall over 28.5 reception yards. This, I think, is 29, or it's 31, 32 now. Still really like it at that number. I've got him around 45 to 50. And then I've got Kamara's rushing yards over 63.5. and I'm pretty confident in saying that that is still available. One moment, I'll tell y'all. KAM. It's at 65.5, and I still think that's playable. So mine and Joel's plays did get some value. Make sure you guys are following on Twitter. Make sure you have notifications on at JG4President and at ProfitProps1. We appreciate y'all for tuning in each and every week. I'll try to get a recap out this Sunday. Appreciate y'all, though, for tuning in. We'll catch y'all next time.
Thanks,
So,
everyone.